Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right. Let's bring the council meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. What did you want to lead off with?
You do this one.
How about Title VI?
Title VI.
Do the Title VI.
This meeting is being recorded. There's a camera in the corner. Today, if you have something to say about anything that's going on, please just raise your hand, let it be known, come up to the podium, state your name, and stay within 2 to 3 minute time frame. Title VI, as a recipient of federal funds, the City of Aurora offers a voluntary survey to gather statistical data regarding participants and beneficiaries of its federal aid programs and activities. The survey is to gather information about the populations affected by City of Aurora activities. I have these surveys in my office if anyone would like one.
Jared.
All right. First up on the docket today is City of Aurora Council, Dearborn County, Indiana, ordinance number 2025-17, and an ordinance abolishing the position of Deputy Clerk Treasurer. I'll read this as the second reading of this ordinance. The following ordinance is hereby repealed in its entirety. 31.16. That is the position of Clerk Treasurer. Effective date, this ordinance shall become effective on December 31st, 2025, or upon passage and publication as required by law, whichever occurs later. Reassignment of funds. All funds reserved or budgeted for the purpose of compensating the position of Deputy Clerk Treasurer are hereby reassigned to the City General Fund. Eradication of position and security of accounts. The Clerk Treasurer is hereby directed to take all steps necessary to eliminate the position of Deputy Clerk Treasurer and to notify all banks, depositories, financial institutions, and state offices immediately upon or prior to the effective date of this ordinance that the Deputy Clerk Treasurer is no longer authorized to act on behalf of the City of Aurora. Such notification shall include the removal of any signature authority, electronic access, passwords, or account privileges associated with the former Clerk Treasurer, the Deputy Clerk Treasurer. The Clerk Treasurer shall confirm in writing to the Mayor and Common Council if such actions have been completed. Temporary fulfillment of ministerial duties. To avoid any interruption in city business, the Mayor is hereby authorized to fulfill any ministerial and administrative duties that may otherwise have been performed by the Deputy Clerk Treasurer, including the signing of documents and warrants at the direction of the Clerk Treasurer and in accordance with Indiana Code 36-4-10-4 and all other applicable statutes until the Clerk Treasurer determines that a permanent arrangement has been established. Nothing in this section shall be construed to transfer to the Mayor any independent custody or control of city funds. And so, Mayor, this is the second reading of this, and I don't know if you just want to start a discussion with it or how you want to handle it.
Want to do public comment, or Benny, do you want to say something first?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be glad to. You know, this was brought up 2 weeks ago, and you know, a little bit you know, surprising to say the least. If my reaction wasn't well known, I really was not prepared for an ordinance that would just kind of slash this without a discussion of what it is that the Clerk Treasurer's office is responsible for and how the Deputy Clerk Treasurer fits into that. In discussions with most of you, I've said, you know, I think one of the big things I did against the office itself is taking too much credit. I've really shortchanged the work that the Deputy Clerk Treasurer is doing each day. I've made myself look real good by being able to do it all, and you guys think, well, Benny's doing all the work. You know, what's the Deputy Clerk doing? And then there's, you know, this opportunity for some cost savings. I don't know that there's cost savings there. You know, the ordinance is written in such a way that it becomes effective December 31st at the latest, and that's right before the annual financial report is due, of which I only know how to complete maybe 5 or 10% of that. That is something the deputy clerk treasurer has done. Can we get other people to help us out with that? Sure, at a cost of about $15,000, Baker Tilly told me. They do it for lots of people. So, that's one portion of the work that kind of, it gets eaten up by the budget that we think we're saving. We've got a budget to hear tonight. It funds this position. It makes some other changes. I've not heard, of anything necessary to the health of the city that we're missing out on because I'm maintaining a position that has been there, that predates me and all of us. Over my tenure here, I have been able to make things a little more efficient, find some efficiencies and streamline some things, and we have shrunk the office. I was talking to Randy, he was here, he had 2 full-timers, a part-timer, and Baker Tilly here. And it was through my work with the staff to figure out, okay, well, we can do this stuff without Baker Tilly if you learn how to do this, deputy. And deputy at the time was Colin Browning, and then when he moved on, Orrin was hired and he picked up those duties, and we've been able to do that. This isn't necessarily a question of his job performance, I don't believe. It wasn't presented as such. It was presented as a cost savings measure. We've had clean audits. If there's anything that the auditors have said against us, it's that we don't have enough people here in the clerk's office overseeing what's going on, as far as checklists and making sure that there's a separation of duties within that role, and that role has things that are required by the state. So if the goal is to work towards a smaller office and fiscal burden from that perspective, that's something we could all work towards as a group collaboratively. To take an individual who has committed their career to us and entrusted us with that, and to just kind of rip that away for a seeming financial shortfall is it's a little bit dishonest, because it's not. We've got a budget that works, and one that he did quite a bit of heavy lifting on as well. So I've said my piece. I've talked to you. I've got to be honest. It's been a very trying 2 weeks. Going through the conversations, it has been the only thing I've talked about for the last 2 weeks. I would love to get back to talking about the Bengals and their poor performance. Talking about, seeing the grandkids and seeing, that's the kind of stuff I'd much rather talk about. Or talking about some solutions for the city. What do we got? What are the things that we've really got to work on? We have some things. I can look out the window right over Pam's head and see a building. We've got some work to do in the city. This does not help accomplish any of that. If there are things that you think we should get more out of the clerk's office, let me know. I've said that. So I'll leave my portion at that. I thank you guys for the time and giving me the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to more collaborative conversations in the future.
Richard?
I'd like to take my 3 minutes, if that's all right. The only reason I'm reading this is just to have it on the record, because I know every one of you can read, and you're perfectly capable of, maybe you've already read it, but I'll read it aloud, and thanks for your time. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my concerns regarding the mayor and city council's attempt to eliminate the position of deputy clerk treasurer against the wishes of the duly elected clerk treasurer. While there is common belief that this action is legal, I believe aspects of this ordinance may be illegal, and the process is rather extraordinary as it's outside the normal procedure of the salary ordinance and the budget ordinance process, which has been in place for decades. And if not illegal, the facts, the miscommunications, the misrepresentations of intent, and merit independent advice and assessment by qualified professionals regarding accomplishment of the workload in absence of a deputy clerk treasurer. Historically, in my memory of the clerk treasurer and deputy clerk treasurer in the city of Aurora dates back to the early 1970s. It was the elected clerk treasurer was and remains a part-time elected official who has a full-time job, and the deputy clerk treasurer has always been the person who did the daily work on behalf of the clerk treasurer. Elimination of the deputy clerk treasurer in the city of Aurora forces the duly elected clerk treasurer to work 2 full-time jobs, their civilian job as well as their local government job as a fiscal officer and keeper of the records. This ordinance states maintaining the position of deputy clerk treasurer is no longer necessary or desirable for the efficient operation of city government. I think putting an opinion like that in an ordinance is irresponsible. Having performed the job of clerk treasurer in the city of Aurora, I can state unequivocally, without the performance of the daily work by the deputy clerk treasurer, there is no way for the clerk treasurer to perform all duties necessary to adequately manage the obligatory fiscal and record-keeping tasks while working a full-time job outside of City Hall. Therefore, as a concerned citizen of Aurora, I hereby request that qualified persons with experience in such matters, such as the State Board of Accounts, CPAs, and other experienced professionals within the State Board of Accounts, offer independent analysis of existing conditions and advice on implementing best practices on financial management in the city of Aurora. Thank you for your assistance with this matter. And just a quick story to round out my last 30 seconds. I think maybe there's only 2 people in the room that remember this. When I was elected mayor, the clerk treasurer who was duly elected was unable to do the job. This reflects in no way on them. This person was overwhelmed by the job. It was so much more than they thought it would be that they literally had a nervous breakdown. I can talk about this now because that person is dead and they probably won't mind if I talk about it. But, it's a harrowing experience to have your finances go down in the city. And Terry remembers this, and the chief probably remembers it, but we literally had to hire an accounting firm to come in, and at that time it cost us $30,000, which doesn't seem like much now, but if you extrapolate that out with today's value of money, it's about $54,000 just to correct the few months that the person couldn't do the job. So my point is this, the city has had a deputy clerk treasurer for decades. It goes back before the 1970s, and I was lucky enough to grow up with various clerk treasurers. The first one I remember is Tony Lesko, who the park is named after, and he died in office. And so that was another example of a harrowing experience where you have to jump in and correct things. I don't think there's anybody here that really wants to do the clerk treasurer's job other than the person that's doing it. But if you do want to do it, feel free to put your name on the ballot and go for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Anybody else? Dan?
Good evening. Everybody knows my disappointment, I'm sure, if you read your email. I really don't have anything to add to what Richard said, but I do have a couple of things that still disturb me a little bit about council in general. One point I'd like to make is that we have a lot of equity in this person that's doing this job. They've been doing it for quite a while. You throw that away. It's like having a very experienced employee, but suddenly you think you can get somebody in there for less, So you decide, well, why don't we just get the cheaper option? And sometimes the person that's been doing that job for a while and they knows everything about it, you've already spent the money. You've already helped develop that person. They already know what to do. And you want to start bringing people in here, and I'm going to tell you what my accountant costs, that's close to $200 an hour. She's a CPA and she doesn't mess around. And she has people that work for her. You're going to start getting billed at $100, $150 an hour. That's what it costs. That's real. Anybody that has a business and knows that you pay your CPA, you know what it costs. All right. That's just one point. The other thing I'd like to say, and maybe it's just my perception, but I don't understand how we got to a place where we just call the city attorney and say we want to do something, and then somewhere in the background for a few weeks, next thing you know, something's presented at city council that really virtually no one else knew was going on, when some conversation and some other things really could have settled the whole matter. It really doesn't make it look very good, quite frankly. And maybe my perception's wrong, but this isn't the first ordinance that's been popped up that was like, hey, you know, I've been working on this with the city attorney. You know, I'm gonna present it. And everybody's like, well, what the hell is it about? What are we doing here? What, shouldn't there's been a bigger conversation? And that's the only 2 points I'd love to make. And what Richard said is absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dan. Anybody up here want to say anything to Benny or?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to add, to my comments from a couple weeks ago, I don't see this as being progress and savings that doesn't result in, costly inefficiency by doing something like this. And I will say thank you to the members of council that, since that evening have reached out either directly to Warren or to Benny and have wanted to have a broader understanding about what this role is. I mean, that's important and that's responsible. But it almost feels like a little bit of, here's your pink slip, what did you do here? That doesn't seem like it's forward thinking. And maybe a good way, just to echo what Richard was saying, yes, that was a very uncomfortable situation in the early 2000s with having to delicately walk an elected official toward removal. That has no bearing on this situation as it was. But we were all excited when Randy Eaglin was caucused in to get hold of the clerk treasurer's office. Thank goodness. We'll get the train back on the track. And the first thing Randy said is, I've hired 2 deputies because I can't do this by myself. And those 2 deputies were in there on a daily basis. Those were the ones that I ended up working with as a council member until we saw Randy again at the council meeting. So, I mean, there's a little bit of history to what Richard was saying, that the office generally has some support, and I commend both Benny and Warren for the way they've been able to manage it between the 2 of them and choosing not to fill certain positions. As they left, one was only replaced on a part-time basis, and when she moved on to another opportunity, she wasn't replaced at all. So these responsibilities that fall to the fiscal side of our house are tremendously important, and they don't need to be short-sheeted. That's all I've got to say.
Anybody else on council want to say anything?
I will. Okay, so as Dan said, it was it took us all by surprise, the ordinance coming up. But within the last 2 weeks, we've had time to look at it and to review all sides and to hear all sides, talking to other council members, except for Terry, who I forgot to call back. But talking to Terry, talking to Benny, and things like that. I think what's the point that's getting missed is that we don't want to, or it's not being proposed that we totally eliminated the clerk treasurer position, but that it's going to be restructured as a new position. Right now, with Benny being an elected official, we can't change the way that position looks at all. the only thing we can do is eliminate it and restructure it. Oren himself has been part-time several times, and when his other jobs didn't work out, he went back to full-time. So that shows us that it can be a part-time position, which Oren would be able to apply for, you know, if he wants to go back to that. But part of the restructuring, and this is what I'm taking from talking to everybody, is that there's gonna be, more accountability. Right now, there's no clocking in of hours, no clocking out of hours. So it is hard for everyone around to see what's getting done, how much is getting done, other than, you know, what Benny presents to us. And so there's a lack of accountability and measure, and as an employer, I don't think any position should have that. And it's kind of opened our eyes to some other positions that maybe, you know, don't have accountability also. So having that accountability and structure in there, there's no clear performance metrics, and let's see, I got a few notes here, so I just wanted to make sure I hit on everything. And basically, I think what I've come to realize is the only way to create that more accountable structure is to eliminate the position and restructure the position, where I think we're all focusing on eliminating it and Oren's out. That's not necessarily the point here. It's restructuring the position, giving it different measures that, you know, he'll meet, or whoever apply, if he doesn't want to apply for the part-time, you know, for them to take on and have those measurements and a little more accountability. And I know, like, in our small town, all these decisions, they feel personal, but it's, you know, we believe it's our responsibility to be responsible to the city as a whole, and that every tax dollar should be justified and accountable. And to me, it's really not even about saving money. It's not, it's making sure that our positions are being accountable and doing what they're supposed to. And, you know, we might not save any money in the end if we need to do an accountant here or there till we fill the position. But I think in whole, everything's going to be tracked better and, again, more accountable. Looking at it as a business owner, and my employees not checking in and checking out and showing me their hours and I just pay them, that doesn't.
As I said during our conversation, he does have a time card. I've got a time card for every one of his pay stubs for the time he's been here. He does keep a time card. We do not, you know, have anybody like that. There is you bring up a good point about accountability and performance metrics. We do not do that for any position. No one is held to any kind of standard here at all. We have had multiple issues that somebody would say, hey, shouldn't something have happened here? And we just, nah, it's okay.
And that's what I said. I think it's opened our eyes to a lot of different accountabilities in different departments.
I find it interesting that the council would choose a separate branch of the government to say, hey, we're going to hold you accountable first.
Yeah,
it just feels...
And that's fair, and as we discussed on Friday night too, you know, it is a different position because he's not here. Nobody sees him. And, you know, you talked about Willie picking up the recycling. Well, we know he's doing his job because our recycling's gone.
And like
so
I
it's
say,
a little different because we don't see Oren, so it is a little harder for the accountability for us to process that.
And there are jobs that you don't see those things.
Yeah, no.
And it is 90% of the work that goes on in the clerk treasurer's
Yeah.
office that's being done by him.
Yeah,
I show up and I give you the claims books.
yeah,
I didn't do any of that.
yeah,
I mean, I know
yeah.
how it's done. I know what buttons to press to hit print, but aside from paying the bills, that's really that role.
And you had mentioned he'd been
It is-
part-time several times.
He has gone part-time, and during those times it was planned.
Mhm.
We knew ahead of time. I also had additional staff that I was able to lean on and say, hey, can you pick up this portion, this piece? And I have chosen to not fill the role when Lisa departed. She was here part-time. She was doing a fair number of the duties. I know what the long-term potential of our finances is. It's not sunshine and rainbows. I said, here's an opportunity where I think, Orin, can you pick up a little bit more? And he was like, yeah, it's starting to show, it's starting to strain. I'm looking at some options that are no cost to the city to help us with some of the more record-keeping, organizing, and filing and things that is starting to pile up on the desk. To say, oh, well, he'll just do it part-time. I don't know. It's those kinds of conversations that, you know, in a more collaborative environment, you know, we could work towards. We could say, hey, this position right now is full-time. The next time, you know, he vacates or anything, it needs to revert to a part-time. We need to figure out how to get to that point.
I would like to speak in regard to what Sherry said. Sherry, I appreciate all of your words and I agree with you. But what I want to do for myself as a council person, I'm going to offer 2 hours, 2 Saturdays a month to volunteer to help Benny do whatever, filing, scanning, anything like that. I have the knowledge, I have the experience, and I'm willing to help. And maybe some council people can help pick up some of the slack. I'm not saying all of it, Benny, but I will help you.
And I'm saying that, you know, kind of larger here is an attack on the entire system that we have in this state. The separation of duties, the separation of powers and responsibilities. This is kind of an attack on that. It's saying, we don't like you and how you do it, so we're going to get rid of this because we want to hold people accountable. Not ourselves, but you. And don't worry, we'll help you out. We'll come in and help pick up the slack. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait a second, so you came and punched me in the nose, and you're offering to go grab me some hankies. Well, I appreciate the hankies, but you didn't need to punch me in the nose. This is going to be more than just a couple hours. We're talking about, I mean, his days are filled. When Austin comes in and hands me something, he thinks, oh, it's done. Benny did it. He took care of it. Then he's passing it right along to make sure that it gets done properly. And that's where I mean, I appreciate the offer of help, but I got to tell you, I don't know that there's going to be that kind of relationship in the city with that kind of with this kind of approach of we're going to blow it up, and we don't care that it's you, and we don't care that it's a separate branch of the government. You're a duly elected official. We don't care. We're going after you. In a way, you might be. Accountability, you want to see more, those are all things let's talk about. Let's be collaborative. Let's figure out, hey, how can we see and make sure that, hey, this is the guy that's doing these pieces, that's doing that part.
And we have asked about that.
And we can
We've
make
talked
that
about that in the
formalized.
past, and he's never presented it. I met him for the first time.
And we can make that formalized. You know, that you know, he comes in and he does the monthly report. That he's the one that's.
What I would really like to see is Orin tell us about the budget, because if he's the front man on the line, he knows what comes in and comes out, and he's known for the last couple of years, he is the person I would like to talk to about the budget.
I will say.
Because he sees some things that
Oh, yeah.
you don't see, or we don't see.
He is one that, you know.
But it's not in his job description to come into the budget meetings. Do you see what we're seeing?
well,
It's not in his job description that he needs to come to the budget meetings. And, you know, that's what I would have liked to have seen.
And it's hard to hold somebody accountable to something that, you know, was not known at the time.
I had asked a few times, and you know I have.
If this is a job performance issue, then this is not the right forum for that.
I'm just saying the reorganization of what we expect from people could be
And that's
interpreted differently,
and
as
that's
Sherry
fine.
had said.
And I'm saying-
that's one of the things I would like to see.
Am I
is-
an elected official as you are?
You are.
Do I have certain statutory duties separate from you?
You do.
Are you able to say, you can't do it the way you think you should do it? And
No, but
that's
I-
where we're at. And you know, like I say, this feels, you know, it's larger than, you know, accountability, you know. He's got timesheets going back, you know, since he first started, just as every employee does.
Can I ask you, when he was part-time, did he still receive insurance benefits?
Yeah, those were turned off.
They were
We
turned off?
contacted
Okay.
AIM Medical Trust for that time.
Thank you.
And speaking of AIM Medical Trust, that was one of those cost savings things that, you know, you kind of get having somebody that can work on these things full-time. We were with Pinnacle Health Insurance for a number of years, seeing health increases of 12, 15, 20% 1 year. Orrin dove into it, said, hey, let's get over to AIM Medical Trust, and we've had really nice success with them, to where this year, we will be paying the exact same premiums that we had last year. They're actually 0.3% less. Minor amount, but it's there. Also this year, and actually we just got the notification today, Orrin had sent it to me, from AIM Medical Trust, that because the plan has performed so well, we did get a premium holiday for the month of November. So between the city and the utilities, that's a savings of $61,000 that we had. These are the kinds of things that we work on, having somebody that's there doing it day in and day out to focus on. Now granted, he's not exactly pulling the levers and saying, oh, you know, which premium, you know, which plans are we paying for and such, but at the same time, he worked with those folks. That's why you have these people in place.
Richard?
I just have a couple of questions, and I don't mean to belabor this. First, I'd like to ask the members of council take into consideration some of the information that I passed along to you. It's too much to go over now, and I'm not going to go over it now. But I would just ask that you withdraw this ordinance until such time, as it said in my letter, that you have a third party take a look at the entire process and your concerns, and then make some recommendations. The question I have is, who performed the workload analysis to determine that the clerk treasurer's duties are no longer, the term was not needed, or it was just, that was that opinion that was in the middle of the ordinance that I
Not needed
thought.
or desired.
What's that?
I believe it was not needed or desired.
Yeah, not needed or desired any longer. If the conversations like you're having right now continue, you'll be easily be able to jump over these hurdles that are in your mind and your concerns that you think are so egregious. The concerns that I've heard are valid and need to be addressed. And I put some of that information on how to solve those problems. But you do it together. And so the mayor and the clerk treasurer, they don't have to be best buddies. But my experience is, all of you working together, you're doing it for the betterment of Aurora. And so one of the pages that I put in there was basically the mission statement that's on the lead page of the Aurora website. And it basically says you're going to be transparent, you're going to serve the citizens. So on the openness side, I would have more conversations just like you're having now. I would urge you not to pass this now, but to further these conversations, because you will solve all your concerns. And if taking a fund from the general fund, and the ordinance says you're going to move it into the general fund, that's a little bit nonsensical. That you're paying most of your bills out of the general fund. The deputy clerk treasurer's particular account is in the general fund. So my question would be after that is, now what's the intent, the actual intent of what you're going to do with the appropriation for that particular job that you're going to eliminate? You're not going to save it. If you're going to save it, you would have it in the ordinance that you're going to, what investment instrument are you going to put it in? But that's not the intent here. The intent is to actually take away an appropriation for a duly elected official's deputy and move it into another series of expenditures. So the common thing that we've heard here is there will be no savings. I guarantee you, if you do this, there will be no savings. It'll just be a reappropriation of funds that you will do later in a non-budgetary format, and you'll have another ordinance to transfer those funds to another fund so you can spend it elsewhere. So I urge you not to do that. I urge you to stay the course with the professionalism that you do have, but you don't realize that you have. And I've said enough, and I thank you for your time. The one thing, when I was making notes on, when I listened to the ordinance being read, I listened to it 3 times and made notes on it. The one commonality here is continuity of daily fiscal management. That's what everybody in this room wants, is continuity of daily fiscal management. The daily work has to be done. And there's a page in my notes there that of one of the things you want to avoid is that it goes down so far by whatever reason that you can't pay your payroll. But there's some other solutions there with regard to AI and other things that you can all work together on, and you can make this city stand out in very good ways financially, which it already is. That's the metric. The metric is when you get your audit back,
Yeah,
are there a bunch of problems or not?
that's good. Thank you, Richard. I think what they're really getting at here is, from what I'm understanding, is Pam has asked for Warren to come in a few times or whatever, and she has yet to see him. From what I understand from councils, a lot of them doesn't even know who Warren is. They've never seen Warren. They've asked to have him come in here and.
So is this a job performance issue?
I don't know, I'm listening to this up here.
That's my point.
This is what I'm gathering from listening to the council right now. And what they said, but the budget, from what I'm gathering, is you've been telling us the sky is falling, and I think everybody's starting to panic, and we've made cuts. We've made $300,000-$400,000 worth of cuts. They're looking at fulfilling part-timers as far as a full-timer. But we can ask council if they want to proceed with the vote now, or they want to wait until November to do the vote. Is that,
I would like to proceed with the vote tonight.
I second that.
Sherry? Tonight? Terry?
No, I mean, I don't agree with that in the least. I mean, you've been given a lot of information, and the fact that, questions were only asked about understanding the role after the introduction of the ordinance should speak for itself. But I can see the writing on the wall. I'm going to be outvoted by that. I just don't think that demonstrates an awful lot of reasonable forethought and responsibility. You're talking about the metrics, as Richard just said, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago when it was introduced. Benny's probably sick of me saying this. Whenever it comes up about any department of the city, and I say I always defer to that department head. They're there for a reason. Somebody says, why do the police do it this way? Don't ask Terry, ask Josh why they do it that way. To me, that's a stronger case of you put people in place you believe in, you allow them to do the job the way they see fit, and you allow them to staff in accordance to complete what that job entails. And this is an elected official's office, which is charged with certain responsibilities, and I'm just saying to all of you that I think it's important that you not undermine the elected official's ability to deliver on what their expectations are in the eyes of the state statutes. I mean, to me, that's common sense. But, I would be opposed to proceeding with any vote tonight and ask that people take the time to do a little more research and have more conversations. That's my 2 cents.
That's also why we had 2 readings on this. We had the first reading, everybody's had a very sufficient amount of time to discuss and discover everything that they needed to discover. the information that was brought here tonight. Wasn't the first time we've heard this information or seen this information, so they're not bringing anything
I don't
new
agree
that's
with that.
presented
I
tonight.
mean, when it was presented 2 weeks ago, was the first time that many of us had even heard about it. So I don't know that you can say, well, you've had your time to do the due diligence. I can read the ordinance 10 times. If I disagree with the premise of the ordinance in itself because there's not an understanding behind it, I think, and just the fact seeing people after the fact begin to ask questions to get a better personal understanding, I think that speaks to itself that maybe you're moving a little quick to call for a vote on this evening. You've already said it's time to back up and punt. I have to get more ground under my feet to decide if this is the right move or not. So in that regard, I hope that takes a little pressure off everybody up here. And when we say a lot of the council people, there's not a lot of council people. There's only 5 of us. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, we can do a little bit more thorough work if it looks like that's called for, and the world will not stop spinning. That was my other 2 cents. Now I'll shut up. So.
Michelle?
I'm fine with it tonight.
Okay, all right, we'll take a vote on it.
Well, you could have a motion to approve it. We could follow some procedure.
Okay, well, so is there a motion? Read that off there, whatever. I can't see
Motion
it.
to, call for a motion to approve an ordinance abolishing the position of deputy clerk treasurer, ordinance number 2025-17.
It was 18 on your register.
That is correct. There's a the budget actually slipped ahead of this. So it's actually 2025-18. That is correct. So I'll call for that motion to approve.
I will make a motion to move forward with the ordinance 2025-18.
There's a second?
I'll second.
By Sherry, all in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Terry's a no. No. Ordinance passed.
I guess I'll go next, since, somehow the budget needs to be approved. Wow. We have the budget, which is ordinance 2025-017. The mayor and I sat down. He contacted Baker Tilly and had them do a run at the numbers as well, just to kind of look at where things are. And kind of got the same information that I've been passing along, which is, not exactly sunshine and roses, but here's where we're at. So we've ended up, we had a little bit of adjustment throughout the morning today, but we have the final numbers. We have a total budget within the main funds of $5,333,189, with an adopted tax levy of $2,070,262. For an adopted tax rate of 1.7425. Are there any questions on the budget? If not, we'll entertain a motion
I
to.
have a question because I haven't actually seen the actual budget.
Yeah.
And I
None
haven't
of us
either.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to vote on something that I haven't seen.
I don't either.
Well, Mr. Mayor, this is your mayor's budget, so
It's basically,
today is the last day.
basically, pretty much everything is what it was last year. The one move we made in here was Austin will go to the part-time, the mayor's position will go to a full-time position.
I don't want to interrupt, but I'm going to say right now, I'm not voting on a budget, just saying that it's based on last year without actually having a hard copy in front of me with those additional changes or whatever that may be. So,
Where's that one you give me?
And I agree, I think it's an important decision to make,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't make it on a whim.
and not have any time to review it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Kind of agree.
I've only been presenting these items for months now. It is not something that the clerk treasurer's office dictates. It comes from you guys. This is the mayor's budget, as I've been reminded many times. He has delivered these numbers. If you'd like to see copies, I can grab his, well, I'll need to grab the official copy, and then I'll return, once I'm able to print those. I've got this one. This actually shows what was published, which was what we presented at the budget hearing, and then adopted. Not a ton of change in between those two. But let me go grab some copies of that. And then we'll be able to,
What we did take out was the, in the riverboat, we took out, well, 50,000 for the cancer center. We don't pay that anymore. Local nonprofiting is not in there anymore for 30,000. Neighborhood revitalization is not in there for 50,000. Stormwater is not in there.
Shouldn't stormwater be in there?
No, not necessarily. We're putting it in other, with the utilities. We're working, the utilities are doing all that stuff, so we shouldn't have to pay for it twice. Let's see what we're doing here. Riverfront development, we cut 50,000 out of that. Street and sidewalk repair, we took 20,000 out of. Used pickup truck that we got last year, we took 40,000 out of. Second Street improvements where we wanted the lights down there, we didn't get them this year because, well, money got spent with the flood and snow repair, so we didn't have the money to do it there. So
Weren't we
cut
gonna have a grant for that? for the lights?
50,000 out. Well, we have
grant
a
didn't
grant
come
filed
through.
for that right now, so we're still trying to get it. And that's 370,000 we cut out right there out of the casino money because we're getting so less money.
Can you explain what continuing education is?
Hmm.
Will you explain what continuing education is?
Continuing education, where's that at?
It's only on this
That's
little
for-
paper
I
you
don't,
gave
I don't
us.
have the paper that you got. Let me
Because
Yeah.
we don't have a paper you
I
have.
think the
so-
continuing education is like conferences and that type of stuff for us to
Yeah.
go to. AIM. Is
Yeah,
that a correct
those are the ones you
statement?
guys go to, the AIM conferences, different things throughout the years, redevelopment, different stuff.
I think, and, you know, again, I spent some time with Austin, thank you very much. It sounds like the changes you're just kind of summarizing within gaming were the exact ones that you and I walked through as proposed part of gaming to decrease some of our expenditures there. The general budget, I mean, there's not a lot of headroom to move different ways in this. I mean, that's where you're meeting your city's obligations as far as public safety and street maintenance, things of that nature. The one question that I did have, and Pat and Benny and I spent some time just discussing, you know, our wage structure for our employees. We don't have an arsenal of employees. We don't have a whole platoons, one on top of another. But, you know, I know that we had discussed potentially a 3% wage increase. Pat, was that put in to the final numbers to
Yeah,
look at to see?
there is a 3% wage increase in there.
Okay, so I'll steal some of Benny's thunder, that the number that's approved for the budget is the most you can spend. You can spend less than that. But this is the drop dead date because we didn't want to do anything a couple weeks ago when we had told the state we would file the budget. And there's been time up to that point to go in and sit down and say, where are we taking money from this, that, or the other? how's that look? Pat says we took out the not-for-profits. Well, we took out 30,000 from our own gaming, but there's still going to be a delivery of monies coming from our charitable foundation account that pays for our fireworks and should leave approximately 30 to 35,000 that we can still help support not-for-profits. So all of that's not gone. It's just excess over above that has been curtailed for this year's budget season, and I do hope we do spend a little time putting some dry powder aside for when we have things like 10 inches of snow and we have a 53-foot flood that nobody puts into the budget ahead of time. So if we're presenting a budget at a certain dollar amount, that is the max. I think we need to take action on it tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's not going to be suitable to say after all this time that, well, I don't want to do it.
And Terry, sorry to interrupt, but we had suggested something about having evaluations for employees next year, just to find out where they are, what they're thinking, what their feedback is on their job.
That's all well and good, but it comes into the same part of the calendar when the typical conversation about the health insurance benefits come up.
When are we
You
going
can't-
to talk about it? Because I've been bringing it up for 2 years.
Again, a meeting like this may not be the best place to rehash
But
that.
at
This
least it's
is,
on the books now.
this is some, well, it's good, that's in the minutes, that it's a concern to go back over, and I think accountability's been brought up a couple times tonight. How do you best measure that, and where do we want to set those metrics at? I'm just, concerned that the city meets its obligation for filing our budget for the upcoming year.
We'd also talked about having a central supply so that not every department has their own supply budget for like ink cartridges, paper, where we
I
can buy
think
in
some
bulk.
of that's already been addressed through Benny's office. It may have to go back to those department heads now, fend for yourselves, because we won't have that person in there day to day to make sure they're accommodating the request. But
Well, if we can buy in bulk, we can save a lot of the money for the city.
and you can spend less than what the budget says we're filing for.
So we come up with
We
different
can do
plans
that later on.
afterwards and
That's all
As far as
down the
saving.
road there.
And I
But
don't
I
think,
keep bringing it up and nothing happens. That's why I'm saying it.
and I don't think Michelle was saying we're not gonna do it tonight, but just to see a finalized copy of it after all the work, and just to make sure everything's what we've discussed.
I agree,
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
entire purpose
yeah.
of this budget
Yeah.
process is
Yeah.
not only to file it by a date,
Am I
it's to
right,
have a
Michelle?
roadmap by which you want to actually conduct business for
See
the
the final
upcoming year.
product.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here trying to go through it now,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that was
Well,
the
and
first
we-
I'd heard
and
about
like
the mayor's
Terry said,
position
we
being
discussed a
full-time.
lot of the
So-
things, but to see it all come together is
I agree,
important. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, not to hire another city manager, we'll say $42,000 or $43,000 that way.
I would have paid more to keep Austin.
Well, and I was under the assumption that Austin was gonna be part-time, and council was gonna be picking up some of those things. That was the assumption I was under. So I think there's a lot
You
of
are gonna be-
assuming going on here, and no one's telling anyone anything, so.
you are going to be part-time, correct?
Correct.
He is going to be part-time,
And what
yes.
is part-time? How many hours a week is part-time?
Twenty.
I think you guys are supposed to tell me that.
Well, I'm asking,
So am I.
24 hours is what we look at,
24 hours?
yeah. I mean, with his job being part-time, it's kind of like a salary position in a sense, but he'll be doing some meetings, this and that, I'll be taking over a lot more meetings. He'll still help us out with the grants, different things like that. Everything we have in motion right now, he'll still be working on.
I know you've been doing a lot of our IT services. Are you going to continue with that?
I will do my job in a very similar capacity to what I do it now.
Just not as much.
We'll be doing our meetings on Mondays.
I believe you maintain the website as well, correct?
Correct.
I just have a suggestion for just the witness in the future. The clerk treasurer's school is generally in what, May or June? So if you set your budgetary deadline for, that you're gonna begin in May after the clerk treasurer school, and then you're gonna finish before IAC, that's kind of your summertime hours, that's when you're doing your budget. So you have 3-4 months to, tweak from the previous year. Everybody can get a copy of last year's, you write on it what you think it should be that's different, or improved, or less, or more, and you turn that all back into the mayor and clerk treasurer, and they've had your input in writing on the budgetary papers from the previous year. Sorry to interrupt.
So on this, it still has your regular salary listed on this budget? This one that Vinny just gave us a copy of, it still has,
Does it have
it says,
Austin's on there?
yes.
It says city manager salary is still full instead of a part-time wage.
Oh, no, I need to print the real one. Let's see. Let's see, I go to the actual Form 1, which I updated.
And is this code enforcement under the mayor's part, is this what we pay the county? Because they do our code enforcement? Or is this what we're paying the street department when they're going and doing some of it?
How much is it?
30,000.
It's the county
Okay.
money.
I just wanted, because I wanted to double check, because it's under the mayor's is what it's under, so.
There are just a couple of lines that did have some change from what you've got in your hand. Those that are different would be that the city manager salary, that line is now 35,000. What is called code enforcement on here, that I think you intend to have that, it's a events coordinator. Is that what you
Someone's
said?
gonna help out with events.
An events coordinator role. That's,
Wait, so we're gonna pay someone $30,000 to plan events?
no, that's only $10,000.
But we're
That
gonna
he's
pay
got.
someone $10,000 to plan events for the city?
To help out with some events, we're gonna pay them, that's just an account to pay.
That's what Main
Per-
Street Aurora does.
Right, and I've also told you I'm an event planner, I can do that for free with what I already get paid from
That's
council.
what they bust their butt for, yeah, yeah.
It makes
I
it
mean-
look like what we do is nothing. It's
Yeah.
not appreciated.
No.
Because we're gonna hire somebody that can do it better.
Yeah.
No, you're still doing all yours, and they're gonna work with you.
So we're gonna have an events coordinator and get rid of the deputy treasurer.
He's not
We're
gonna
gonna
make,
do that.
the event coordinator's not gonna make $70,000.
But the event coordinator's gonna make 10.
I don't think we
I mean,
need it.
I don't think we need an event coordinator.
We have Main Street Aurora, they do a
Yeah.
terrific job.
Get ready, Nancy, I'm coming down to see you more.
How I do as much as I can do.
No, I know, and that's why I'm
volunteers.
trying not to throw it all on you.
But I've also offered to you guys, I mean, I offered directly to you, Pat, that, I mean, I am an event planner, that's one of my actual jobs outside of city council. So why would I not want to do that for my own city and not have you pay me for it, though? I mean, I shouldn't get paid, I mean, I don't feel like I would need paid to do that.
If you wanna start doing events, we can do it that way. I mean, we're just trying to get things down here and events going on. Jonay's got her 4th of July thing she wants to really go, so that's gonna need a lot of heads up and help. We wanna make Christmas big, just helping out. Nancy does what she does, and that's awesome. But I don't wanna throw so much on Nancy, to where she doesn't wanna do anything and go crazy on me and hide some candy down there. But
Well, I think it would
we
be,
have to slow Nancy
You're-
down, she's already.
You may
working
well
time.
be past that point.
Yeah, Nancy, Main Street's just rocking it, I mean, they're rocking the events and, yeah.
Well, just like
and
I
if we
said,
want to add more, that's fine, but, I
yeah, that's
mean,
what we want.
I don't think
wanna
we need
add
to
more
pay
events.
someone to do that.
What we want, what we are getting to is like events on Saturday. We want to have bands down at Gabbard Parks on every Saturday. We need somebody to set all this stuff up.
I mean, unless we're getting volunteers to come play music, I mean, how much does Scallywags cost, Nancy, when we use them for 4th of July?
We get them cheaper, but it's $3
come at me with the.
Yeah, and that's just because that's a nice rate for us, right? So,
You can get guys to sing down there for $300 or $500, you know, but the event, what they do is they set up like vendors, like she did this weekend, Lexi did this weekend. I think they paid her $45, she paid everything, didn't cost anything, we paid for a bounce house for kids, and that's what, you know, we've been doing that. But everything else was paid out of the vendors. She paid, all the prizes for the Halloween, the costume, stuff like that. She got the food trucks over
She had
there.
somebody that donated that.
What's that?
She had someone donated that money.
$200 worth of that, but she paid DJ out of the vendors. I mean, there's,
she still profited a nice little money from that event,
you
even with
can get,
that.
and she, whatever she did, but she held an event. I mean, but she knows how to, somebody like that, an event coordinator can bring money in to pay for different things.
But why, like, if she's doing it as a profit, why are we paying her to do it?
She won't, but then it'll be, we'll give her a couple $100 or something just to plan an event for everyone that she does. But she won't get anything out of that, she'll just be planning them. I mean, somebody else wants to plan them up here, Michelle, if you want to rock it on every Saturday or whatever, that's fine. But you gotta start doing things down in here, and we're trying to do them the cheapest way possible.
I feel like Main Street does so much, I can't keep up. Like, there's always something.
Oh, no, and I don't
going on.
want,
Yeah.
I don't want to override that at all. I
Yeah.
want events down here on Saturdays. Every Saturday, I want a band or somebody playing down here, bringing people
That
down here.
costs so much money.
When you set vendors and things, it helps pay for it.
We have tried to always offer everything for free because of our residents that do not have money to go and pay, to go to things or to go and set up. They don't have that kind of money, so we've always offered everything for free to our residents. And we've prided ourselves on that. And, I mean, we cannot compare ourselves to Lawrenceburg and have musical events going on every weekend when they're paying $10,000, $15,000 a week for music. We don't have that kind of money. We can't even pay our assistant clerk treasurer.
I'm not trying to compare to Lawrenceburg. We're going to do our own
No,
little
but so
thing.
many do. And we can't be Lawrenceburg, and why do we want to be Lawrenceburg? We need our own
I
thing.
don't want to be Lawrenceburg. That's
But
why we're
everything
making the
takes
changes we're
money.
making.
And we don't have money. And no matter what is said, if there's somebody paid, there's somebody not paid, I think it's a slap in the face to Main Street, like we're not doing enough.
You never said that. I said you do
I
plenty.
didn't say you did, Pat, but that's how it makes you feel. When people say, you need to do this, you need to do that, fine, come with a suggestion, and we'll look into it.
Come and
But-
volunteer.
Well, and that's what
How about
Nancy,
somebody volunteering?
that's why I set up a web page to help people to fend those off for you, because people are coming to me and saying, do this, do that. I said, let's meet and get this information together and then give it to
But it would have
Nancy.
been nice to have known you were gonna do that, rather than reading it on Facebook.
I invited you. I mean, it's just across the
Beside the point.
I mean-
It was already decided to have the group before anybody ever said anything to us.
But it's like one-hit wonders, things that you may not want to do, like the LST or something like
And
that.
they've done that 2 different
So-
times. We've done the LSA twice.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of, it's the big boat that comes in and has the whole thing goes. Because like honestly, I don't want to do that. Also, he didn't mention the whole full-time.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, if I could suggest or just kind of interject here, I mean, we're getting into a lot of conversation about specific events, about a line item that maybe somebody doesn't agree with. Again, the purpose of the budget on the agenda tonight is to have council's approval of the budget at a certain number that we can file with the state. I think Michelle's got a great point. Why would we pay somebody $10,000 to do something that we could probably otherwise find a way to do ourselves? That's fine, but we can always spend less than what the approved number is.
Well, and we actually have till November 2nd to get this passed, so I personally move that we table this, and we need to plan a meeting. I know we have to, what, 2 days?
Well, I
But
mean,
something,
this-
I don't have time to go through this entire thing, and what we have is not even the
We've already
complete
been through a
thing.
little bit of it and found some things to
Parts of it, but
discuss.
not the entire thing.
But I'm saying if we go ahead and adhere to what we're supposed to do by today's date, that we can always spend less, that there's room to cut as we go through it. But this was initially, following our September public hearing, supposed to have been done October 13th.
Yeah, and then we,
So-
at the last council meeting, we said there was gonna be a meeting before this one, and then it never came about. Which a lot of this would have been hashed out at that
Don't know what
meeting.
that was. I don't recall us ever saying there was going to be an extra meeting involved. This is the extra meeting because we
this is
didn't
the
take care
special
of
meeting.
housekeeping on the 13th, so.
I did think we were gonna go over.
Can I say one thing? So to Terry's point about appropriations and whatnot, you can always change appropriations later. So if you find something, you can introduce a resolution to change the budget. But the issue is that you have to show something by the 2nd, otherwise last year's just rolls over. So to Terry's point, you can always change it later, but you gotta get it in, something in by the 2nd.
So anything that we see on here that we disagree with, we could just write
It's
resolutions
a pain in
and
the butt,
take them
but
out.
let's not be dishonest about it. We do have to do a special appropriations bill, or an ordinance on it. But, you can do that after the fact to change up the budget.
I would ask, if I can, that you've got, if you passed this tonight, this is our max, this is what we need, getting those resolutions, if we could have those before either the November meeting or, when's the December meeting? What day is December?
I don't remember that.
The 8th.
The
I see, I
8th?
thought
Oh,
it was
that works out. I could deal with the 8th. If we had it by the 8th, a resolution that says, hey, on that sheet, on that Form 1, instead of this, make it this.
By December 8th.
By December 8th, I can work with that because I have to get all this stuff into, and hey, I've got him through December. I can make him work in December. Get everything entered into Keystone, our accounting software, so that we can hit the ground running in January with the budget that you guys want to see. When I mentioned budget in April, it's not just to annoy Pat and to take up valuable airtime, because I'm wanting everybody to go to Benny Turner _Aurora on YouTube, smash that subscribe button.
Smash that like button.
Make sure to subscribe. Thank our sponsors. Bed rest. But like, it's not just for my health. I mean, it's really, I'm hoping that people are looking at those things then. But yeah, I think, if there are those things, I mean, even today, it was really, as Pat was going down the list of, hey, here, make this adjustment here, make this adjustment there, what we were doing was any sort of, I don't want to call it excess, but the stuff that we didn't have allocated to something, we put to an account that we call miscellaneous other services and charges. It's that bottom line. Right now, what's presented is almost $58,000. Now, here's the nice thing about having that little bit of a buffer. It's not necessarily, oh, that's free money for us. It's when the state comes back and says your tax caps are going to be a little bit higher than you thought, or your revenues aren't quite as good, or you have an extra expense that comes from there. So when I started, we had a really nice miscellaneous other services and charges, and just as time has gone on and those property tax caps have ramped up, we've had to eat into that, to where this year we had nothing to start the year in that. So as we do the resolutions, if we say, hey, cut that 10, you could drop it into there if you didn't have something else specific that you want to see. But I think passing the budget tonight would be fine, and then having those discussions to get the resolution to move things around, that's more than reasonable.
Michelle's coming right back. She said somebody's locked out, so.
Oh, goodness. She knows what Johnny looks like, right?
I hope so. Hope so.
We got his picture at the door. Do not admit.
I hope she does.
Yeah, I'd imagine she is.
Thanks again, John. We've got the building on lockdown.
So then once Michelle comes back, we just need a motion to pass the budget, right?
Yeah, since he's given us till
Should we
December 8th,
discuss
too.
more of the general fund changes?
Those were the big ones, from what I printed out for you guys. There is a 3%, did you mention that one? I was
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, look at that, you took the fun.
Terry did, Terry took it.
That was instituted. On my line, as you guys will see, it does say, I've got the clerk salary, that would be Lisa's position, we zeroed that out. There is a spot in there, I think it's called clerk's office salary. That would be enough to have covered Orrin's position. If he's not in there, I at least have some money to put towards the part-timers, as you say, and Baker Tilly, or whatever CPA is available.
So where would the clerk's salary go? Where would Lisa's salary? Does that just
They
stay
zeroed
in
it
your
out.
in there.
buffer?
That was on this line,
Yeah.
at 35,000, that went to zero, that was her.
Oh, okay, okay.
I get paid 25,000, that's the
That's a
next line
salary.
down, the clerk treasurer, that's mine. And then that third one, that was Orrin's, it was called deputy clerk treasurer. When I knew what was happening, I changed that to clerk's office salaries. That way, if you kept that position, we had the funds to pay for it. If you do away with it, I've got something to pay somebody to do something. I offered Debbie Huffman some part-time work, she said no. Respectfully.
Respect.
All right, so do you wanna, everybody have a chance to look that over then? Get a motion to, pass the budget?
I'd so move.
I'll second it.
Sherry, all in favor?
Aye. Should we go back through with the resolutions
Aye.
up to 12/8?
That means as long as we can go back through it, and then I'm okay with it, yeah.
December 8th, then he said.
December 8th.
Okay, I mean, I'll have it before December 8th.
Well,
mean,
I was
I'm
gonna say, do you guys want to set a meeting here tonight for the
Yes,
in the weeds?
Yeah, I think that
move
would be
this.
great, Vinnie.
yeah.
I don't know if it doesn't necessarily need to be before November's meeting, but, we don't want to bog down the November meeting with,
Right.
Yeah,
horse trading. But I would say, I would suggest sometime, in November.
When are you available?
I'm sorry?
When are you available?
Me? You don't need me for that part. My part's done.
Well,
But
first
I
of all,
can, I can be there for,
Finish the budget real quick and then we'll make a date.
okay.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I need 2 copies of the ordinance looking one signed. I gave away all of my copies, I think.
Let me just,
Got you.
you got one and I got one.
Let's,
There you go.
I need 2, one to send up to the state and one to,
trade real quick.
one to keep on file with us.
With me being overprepared.
And then I think it would probably behoove us to have maybe a conference room meeting where you kind of do the horse trading. Hey, move this here, move that there, that kind of thing. So that I can have some good numbers to put into the accounting software.
are we setting a date then? I might-
And I just had a
Oh,
procedural
it's
question. Are you not allowed to get together as council and mayor and even legal outside of this forum to discuss budget? What is the limitation? Is it still 2 people or 3? I guess 3 because of the.
Two can do it by themselves, yeah. But if we have more than 2, then it has to be publicly noted that we're meeting for it, so.
Right. So back to your suggestion of doing it between May and end of October, whatever those dates are. I mean, can you just have one living, breathing document that everybody's making the notes on, and then 2 meet, and 2 more meet, and those 2, I mean, it just seems like it'd be a lot more organized. It seems very disjointed. And it's a huge responsibility, I understand that. And it's a lot to read and understand.
2 of them to sign.
But it just, maybe next year, a better path to get to where we're at somewhere.
Agree.
The reason you start the budget after clerk treasurer school, if you go to clerk treasurer school, and anybody can go to it, and I suggest that anybody that wants to go, take that out of your continuing education fund. It'll blow your mind, because they're going over all the new laws, they're going over every intricacy, and then up on the stage are people from the state board of accounts and from different state agencies. You can ask whatever question you want. Hey, can we do this? Should we do that? Can we do this? And you get an answer right on the spot.
Oh, my son.
Oh, I didn't see.
But he stayed downstairs. He didn't want to come up here.
Okay.
Has to be signed again, signed again.
Today is the 27th.
And can you print me another one that has?
Yeah, after that.
I mean, and you can do it. Now, if you just put it in my box, I can come get it.
I can do it right after.
Okay.
Real,
Part of the revised salary.
do you have that list of checks? One of the things that happens because of, you know, limitations, I'm not able to send out checks until you guys approve them. And right now, there's a sheet going around with some claim. Did I give you all the
Yeah.
copies?
Full council has.
We
Oh,
have
you guys
it.
got them? Good. Those are the claims since the meeting. It's kind of abbreviated because it doesn't include some of the normal like electric bills and things like that. I don't have those on there necessarily. But those are the claims as they stand now, and I was just gonna see if I could get an approval to release those. It looks different. You don't see the descriptions on them. If you have questions, let me know. I think I remember some of them, but Austin will remember the others.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
No, second.
Hartford Mayor, motion, second by George.
I have a question. Has it ever been in the history of Aurora that we had 2 council meetings a month?
Yes?
Yeah.
Did that make it easier to pay the bills, or?
It would get the money out faster. I will say that. We've run into a couple times the vendors calling and saying, hey, where's payment? Dealing with the municipality, it does slow things down a little bit. Having 2 council meetings in addition to the utility board meeting isn't the worst idea. You know, having meetings like this that kind of get into the weeds and, you know, getting everybody on the same page might help.
Could we do it, like, after utility, you know what I mean, like, could it be, because sometimes utility, like Randy has lots of things for us, and sometimes he doesn't, so I don't know how that would work, because I wouldn't want to cut Randy off of what he needs to tell us too, but on those nights that he doesn't have, you know.
Council has to be.
I will say, you know.
Yeah, so could we meet in here for utility, and then,
You have redevelopment.
I think it.
oh, shoot, yeah, I was thinking, I
It would
forgot.
be a good idea, I think, in the
redevelopment
future,
was at 7.
to start
No.
having utility board in here, if only
Redevelopment
because
was
we're
at
supposed to have all these
7.
meetings broadcast.
Last
if
week
I'm
it wasn't.
not-
Yeah, it was only
mistaken.
last week.
This
that
is
was-
one, basically.
Um,
This is the only one you have to have broadcast.
Maybe we change
Oh,
it.
okay, utility, you don't need to. Yeah, that's good.
I will say, if you do have to, means that Austin pays the bill, or now that you know it more, now that, let's just say, I know how these things get paid and everything, it would help avoid late fees, and it would help avoid getting things
Oh,
paid twice.
we don't pay any late fees. I call them up and I say, we don't pay late fees, and they take the late fee off.
Well, if we didn't have a second council meeting, could we just do
You do have to,
additional
like-
bills at the utility meeting?
The only thing that's bad is you're only a 1 week apart between them.
Well, that's
If
true.
they're
If you're
separated by
gonna
2
do it-
weeks.
Yeah, that
it'd
would
be
see,
cool.
that's right, yeah, they're right. That would help probably.
And you don't always need to do Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to wait until 7, you know, I mean, Austin and I talked about that earlier today, that, you know, heck, I remember when Drury started, and he said, why do we have the agenda this way? And I said, well, you're the mayor, you set the agenda. And he maintained the same agenda that Donnie Hastings used, which is probably not dissimilar to the one that you used. You know, I mean, it's kind of.
We didn't have an agenda.
Yeah, sometimes.
This was no month.
But that's, you know, I mean, that's kind of the, you know, I mean, we have a lot of flexibility. We are coming up on, you know, the end of the year where we should set the meeting dates for the next year. we need to have those posted early. I think, you know, it wouldn't be bad to kind of have conversation and say, what would work best for us to, and it, you know, not every meeting has to follow the same structure, I don't think. You know, if you wanted to make one of them a little more, you know, this one's strictly focused on, okay, let's get,
It's a working meeting.
Yeah, where we can
discuss this.
discuss, yeah, it's nice.
Here's this to bring up, and yeah, the public would be here, they'd hear us hash these out, but they would also understand that it's not necessarily.
They're not gonna take action until
Yeah.
next week. Gives everybody time to think about it.
Yeah.
But something to consider as we end the year, how do we want next year to look? So, but, we had a motion and a second on the claim, were there any questions on the claims? Those bills?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Okay. Pay 'em, Benny.
They're all, well, half of them are stamped, I ran out of stamps.
So are we gonna discuss having 2 meetings, or is that going to be for the next meeting, or?
Oh, I told library board I wasn't gonna be there tonight, so I'm here until you tell me to leave. You can talk about it.
Well, I mean,
I will say I'm flexible, you know, as far as being here for a meeting. I think it's, you know, having the claims, if you're gonna do it twice a month or something, if that's probably one of the big goals we wanna accomplish, you do wanna have it, you know, not
So you'd want
one week
like
right
the
after the
second
other.
and the fourth.
Um,
Would you want to split it up like the second and the fourth Mondays of the month?
That's what I was
That way it
thinking
would be
about.
split up pretty good.
Vinny, how would that be for, because you know, when you get the bills, would that cover most of them, or?
It really makes, the middle of the month, you know, pretty hopping. I think that pretty well works. What time are we thinking for that fourth one?
5 or
So you wanna do 5 on
Five
that?
would be really nice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I
kinda
like
thinking.
5.
Yeah, you don't want Benny hanging around here all day.
Oh my gosh, you know how cranky I get.
I do.
My wife
That's what
brought
I'm
me a
saying.
sandwich today. You guys are very lucky. I'm not hangry.
I had to go home and get one.
But I think that is something well worth doing. I am on library board for one more year, so that's at 6 o'clock on the 4th, so,
On the fourth one,
on the 4th one, so you can get out with it.
if we got to hear at 5, we can get in and out of here.
I think we could
Mainly
cap that
approving
like we
boys.
do utility board, that it's from 5 to 6.
That's right.
Or
Walk
5 to a
away.
quarter
Yeah.
till 6, so you've got time to hoof it to the
I see,
library.
because I have something on the fourth Monday always too, I just canceled it for today.
Second Monday would be,
So before you go part-time,
7.
so the next couple of days, put that together for,
Are we starting next year, or are we starting now?
I think that'll be a 2026
26.
project.
I would say you probably want to start next year
And
because
that would just
We'd have to
be,
advertise.
So we can make
Yeah.
it public.
that way it's official.
yeah, so if we make it January and then, yeah.
January. That and I do need to set up or have somebody set up the software to
5
be prepared for
to
those
5:45.
dates.
All right, we good?
Good,
Look for motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second?
That meeting.